Hi, welcome. It's time for another town hall and open mic and campaign update with me, Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki. I am running for President of the United States as a write-in candidate, and this is my update. Welcome. So, I want to go over a couple of things with you, but first, my lawsuit is still pending with the U.S. Supreme Court. And over the last 2 weeks now, we've been hearing more and more states coming forward admitting they have fake names on their registering to vote list. And they're giving all sorts of excuses. Now, my take on it is that some got there by accident, but some were put there on purpose. And so they're actually erasing their fingerprints from the crime scene by taking these names off. So most recently was, I think, New Mexico, with another almost 1 million names wrong. I mean, New Mexico doesn't have the same population as Texas. So that's enormous. That's an enormous number for a size state of New Mexico. So what we're seeing, folks, is registering to vote list. It doesn't work. It's not working. It never worked. It's been manipulated over the years, and we've been manipulated over the years. So it is time to stop. It's time for the U.S. Supreme Court to make a ruling on my lawsuit, and we need to move forward because we got a lot of illegal people not only on the list, but illegal people in office because of the illegal names on the list and the illegal voting that has been going on since 100 years. If it wasn't one manipulation, it was another. So anyway, the point is that we U.S. citizens have the right to have our vote counted. It's not complicated. Other countries seem to be able to do it accurately. So with all of our ingenuity, I mean, if we can put a man on the moon, I think we can count ballots somehow. I know it's difficult, but it can be done. What we need are people in office with integrity. And that is exactly what we don't have right now. So anyway, my recommendation is become unregistered today. After my town hall here, an update, contact your local election division. Say, how do I become unregistered? Then they're going to tell you how to do it. And do it. The postcards don't work, so don't waste your time on that. It's urgent that you get off the list now. And then you can always go and vote. At the time when you go to vote, bring your IDs. You need either a passport or you need your birth certificate to prove your citizenship. And then you need your driver's license or something similar to prove your address. And if you've changed your name at all, you need the document to prove that you changed your name, that you are the same person on your birth certificate that you are on your current other ID that you're showing. So I'm in Wisconsin right now, and I got a sample ballot from them. The ballots are just coming out, so I'm not sure what all is going to happen. But the real thing that I want to say first is that, become unregistered. Then they can't mess with you, and they can't mess with your name. Then when you go to vote, you go into your normal whatever is set up. I mean, things might change. We might declare a state of emergency, and we might do the plan that I have that I offered, or something similar. So let's see what happens. But currently, you have a polling place. And so you go to your polling place, or you may want to check in if things get really weird. You may want to check in with your local county clerk and find out where you should go and vote. So if we get to that step, so you're unregistered, you go to vote, you have your IDs, you show your IDs, they're going to give you the sample, the ballot. Now the sample one, this is a sample, they're going to give you a ballot, and then you can fill it out. Now, this one, which is not like the one I got in New York, this is a actual paper ballot, which is nice. It has instructions, of course, on how to color in the little dots. So, where are you? See along here, there are these little dots. So what you want to do is color that in next to the people you want to be having in office for you. And I highly recommend you do your research. You know, right now there is a law that was worked out between the Democrats and Republicans, a new concept about the border control. And, you know, it's sitting in one of the different seats of Congress. And Congress is in charge of the borders. So, you know, instead of campaigning, they should be voting on that bill, and they should be sending it to the president, and then they should be doing their job, you know, instructing the border patrol what to do. But instead, they're not doing their job because it's a political year and nothing gets done after a certain point on a year like this. And this is not how a real government works. A real government continues to work even though it's an election year. So anyway, do your research on who you really want to have in office. So down here at the very bottom, after all these presidents and vice presidential names, is the write-in area where you can write in people's names. So see, you have to color in the little dot here. I'll do it for you on this one. Color it in, and then you write the name in. So I'm writing Susan Buchser. And try to write it clearly, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So that is the shortest thing that you could write there for it to be acknowledged as me. So see, I colored in the little dot, and I put my name, Susan Buchser. Now, I don't have officially a vice president. So you can write in anyone on the list who is a vice president that you see here, because they're officially known as being a vice president. And then you can also, however, if you have somebody else in mind who you think would be a good vice president for me, you could write their name in there too. So, you know, you could even write your own name in. However you want to do it. I was thinking, you know, when I was filling out the documents, I kept coming across the fact that I technically needed a vice president to fill out the documents. But then I realized, actually, I finally sat down and really reread the Constitution, and it's two separate elections. So I do not have to have a vice president, especially since I'm not in a party and I'm not trying to be on the ballot. I do not need to have a vice president. So I decided I'm not going to have one. I have asked some people, and if they have decided they want to be a vice president for me, then they should campaign and let me know that that's what they want to do. But the real truth is that I don't technically need one. It's a whole separate election. So the ones up here are combined. So like none of the presidential people can technically be a vice president for me. It can only be a vice president or somebody who's not running for office at all. So anyone else on the list, because they're listed on the other parts, they can also not be vice presidents. So it's only the vice president possibilities or someone entirely not running for office. Because for law purposes, we've all said we're running for certain offices. And we can't now change because then we will disqualify ourselves from all these other things. I mean, there are certain laws out there. Although, technically, I'm going to go over it later. The 14th Amendment says that, states cannot make or enforce laws that restrict our rights. But, yeah, I mean, I guess anybody could be a vice president, but I think let's try to stick a little bit with their rules, because that makes a little bit of sense. That if you're trying for 2 or 3 jobs, all on the same paper, that probably doesn't look good, which makes sense. But technically, the 12th Amendment then clearly also requires a separate ballot for president and vice president. So I don't know if this is really, separate ballot is what they mean with the Electoral College. So I guess, yeah, this is how it goes. So this is more by party. So these are all the different parties, and then this is non-party affiliation. So again, it's Susan Buchser, and you spell my name Buchs like Susan, E-R. That's Buchs like Susan, E-R. And my first name is Susan. Now, if you want to put my middle name in there, Maud, you can. That's M-A-U-D-E with an M. And then you could put my last name on there, Lochocki. Lochocki. My other last name, my childhood last name, that's my Polish last name. So if you feel the need to put that on, you can, but that's not necessary. The minimum that's necessary and the easiest way is just these 2 words, Susan Buchser. And in American English, it's pronounced Buchser, but in German, it's pronounced Buchser. And see, I don't do the sound, so it's just Buchser for me. But, yeah, so if it helps you to hear the American English, that's Buchser. And so that's Buchs like Susan, E-R. So, yeah, so, anyway, if somebody does want to be my vice president, possibility, why don't you send me a note here, make a comment and say, hey, yeah, I'm going to write my name in when I vote. And I want to be your vice president. So, and then we can have a talk about it too. But, yeah, so, what I then also want to say is, I tried to look up, a vice president list, because I know that there are other people sort of running as vice presidents. So I don't know if you know of one too, put it in the comments. But the ones on the list are definitely possibilities, so it's sort of a me and whichever vice president you want me to work with. I can work with everybody, I'm not picky. And as president, you're working for all the people, not just your party, which, like the Republicans, I've been to some of their meetings and stuff, and they're just always trying to take over every state. It's not about issues. It's about making a state completely Republican. And I think the Democrats probably do the same thing, making a state completely Democrat. So I don't think that that's healthy, because there are lots of different parties out there, lots of different issues. And it shouldn't be about party, it's about issues. So, yeah, I had some problems with the Republicans I was dealing with in West Virginia. So, yeah. So what you do is you go in, show your ID, you'll get a ballot like this, and then you go and you fill it out. And then you hand it in. So don't forget to do the little dot on the side. It's really not complicated. And then that indicates me, and then you can put in whichever candidate is your favorite for vice president, but just a vice president. Don't put a presidential name in there. And then what happens? Then after that, after the election, so at the beginning of December, you contact your county clerk again, and you say again, hey, I want to become unregistered. And then they'll tell you how to do it again, and then you do it and get unregistered. And then they don't have your name. They cannot do anything with your name. They can't fake it. They can't have somebody go in and fake that they're you. So it's the best way to keep the corruption down, because the Democrats and Republicans, they can't be trusted anymore. They're full of gridlock, they're full of pride, and they're full of greed. And it's enough now. So we need to help them with their problem of greed and power hungry. So by helping them, by taking our names off, we're helping them to be less powerful. And that way they have to learn to be humble, you know, especially the ones who are religious. You would think that they would be a little more humble, but they're not. They're just greedy. So anyway, yeah. And the other part too is there is this DMV. If you go to update your driver's license, or you go to get a driver's license, they ask you, do you want to register to vote? Just say no. Just say no. It's not going to hurt you. So there's some sort of law and software that they've produced since the 90s, or maybe even before, that they say you can register that way. It's not functioning, because I tried it in West Virginia and it didn't work. And I had to register anyways. And then once I discovered all the fraud in the system, I unregistered. So currently I'm unregistered, just to let you know. I'm walking around, breathing. Everything's fine. Nobody's doing anything. And I'm not registered. And I'm even running for office, which is my right to run for office. I fulfill all the requirements for being president. So, and I'm unregistered. Doesn't mean I'm not a citizen. I am a citizen. I have a passport. I can prove it at any time. But I'm just not on their registering to vote list. So they can't play with my name whatsoever. You know, they had me, they wouldn't get me off the list in New York. I had to finally also there take extra time out of my busy life to ask them like 2-3 times to unregister me completely from their registering list. At least in West Virginia, I think I had to ask twice. Because I always try with the postcard. If the postcard doesn't work, which it doesn't work, so don't even bother, then I called and I said, hey, I want to get off the list. And then they said, well, you got to write a letter or an email or whatever. So, yeah. So call your county clerk. Let them tell you exactly how to get off the list, because the postcards don't work and the DMV thing doesn't work. So anyway, so You go in and you're doing the paperwork for your new driver's license, and of course it's computerized. Of course, got to get those computer software things in there. So they ask you, do you want to be registered? And just say no, because there's like a hidden money that gets moved also for some reason. I don't really know. They're being paid, the election division in your town. And I don't know about you, but I don't want the police knowing. I don't want people who have my license plate number knowing what political party I am. We have a right to privacy. That's what I believe it's the 4th Amendment is about, the right to privacy. So don't do it. And while you're doing that too, take organ donor off your driver's license. You can always donate your organs later. Put it in your will. But don't put it on your driver's license. The whole concept of that back in the 80s when it started was to be helpful, I think, in case of an accident. But it has been turned into this weird death, I don't know, advertisement, So like if you're at a bar and you show them your driver's license, they're going to see, hey, oh, she's an organ donor, Or if you buy any liquor at the grocery store, oh, she's an organ donor. So then, different people, wherever you are, they know if you're an organ donor. Or if you go to a hotel, a motel, and you show them your ID, because they ask for that, right? They see, oh, she's an organ donor. And this is a problem, because organs are big business, and people are being killed for their organs. So take it off your driver's license. Don't tell them what party you're in. Claim your privacy back. It's your right to not have everybody know everything about you, especially the police. So, yeah. And then if another election comes up, you just call up, you say, hey, I live here. Where do I have to go to vote? And then you walk in the door with your IDs, you show your IDs, and you sign their little book, and then you get your ballot again like this, and then you vote. Then 2 weeks later, once everything's done, or whenever the election is done, and 2 weeks after that, just call them back up, say, hey, I want to be taken off the registered list, and then take your name back off. That's how we have to do it right now. Now, if my plan goes into effect, if the Supreme Court rules in my favor, and we decide to use this new voting concept that I have, we'll be working from the Social Security number list, which is also the IRS list, where you have one main address. Therefore, you don't have to do anything if everything is working fine with that number for you. But if you have questions, we'll be setting up a hotline where you can call and update your mailing address or your one main address for that and everything. But we'll go over that if it happens, when it happens. So, let's see. So, the other part of running for president or for any office is that they want to have a list of who's running, right? And all the states have like a ballot. That's something they all have. They're all different, but there is a ballot. And then there's people who wanted to be on the ballot, and people like me who don't want to be on the ballot. We just want the right to run for the office. So we're called a write-in candidate. So what that means is that I have the right to run for office because I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm a natural-born U.S. citizen. I'm over the age of 35, and I've lived more than 14 years in the United States. So those are the requirements according to the U.S. Constitution. It does state that in there that if you have been found guilty of a crime, that your rights could be infringed upon. And so right now, Donald Trump is apparently guilty of quite a few issues and is a felon. So he is supposedly restricted from all his rights, or the states can restrict his rights. But here in Wisconsin, he's actually here on the ballot. Where is he? Here. So see, his rights are not being restricted currently. And in this state, my rights are also not being restricted currently. I am an official write-in candidate in this state. And apparently he is too. Although one of the things that I had to sign in my document when I registered in this state to be a candidate, because that's what you have to tell them, although you technically don't. If enough votes come in for somebody, they should be able to be president whether they're registered or not, because that's what is in our U.S. Constitution. So so the long story is that I did fill out the paperwork to be a write-in candidate in this state, and it asked me if I was a felon. If I had been a felon, I would not be able to be a candidate in this state. But I'm not, so I could check no, and then I was accepted. Why they have Donald Trump on here, I don't know. But he's here. I don't know what's going to happen if he wins Wisconsin, because if he does, then he might not be eligible because he's a felon. Or it could be after the election that they decide to lock him up and then he's really not eligible. So, I don't know all the technicalities of the laws and stuff and how they work, but it just seems a little strange. But like I said, I am a U.S. citizen running for the office of president, and I fulfill all the requirements according to the U.S. Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. Any laws that other states make and choose to enforce are not, how can I say it? The supreme law of the land, the U.S. Constitution, will override those laws. So the 14th Amendment clearly states that no state can make or enforce a law that restricts our citizens' rights. And my right is to run for office, is to be a candidate and to actually get the office, because I'm eligible according to the Constitution. So if a state comes along and says, no, she's not registered according to our laws, well, they automatically lose, because we have the 14th Amendment that says they can't do that, that the supreme law of the land is the U.S. Constitution. So I technically don't have to be official according to the states. I just have to be official according to you and me, and I am official. I've got all sorts of websites, and I'm on Facebook, Twitter, or X now, formerly known as Twitter, and I'm on YouTube as well as Instagram, but I haven't updated my Instagram account right now, so it's old stuff. LinkedIn, I'm everywhere. And I've got my website too, and I'm on the FEC page for presidents filing. And I'm not at the top, but I'm in the top 100 of presidential candidates there. I think I might be even within the top 80. I don't know. But I'm right around 80, I think. In spending, anyways, or in making money. I'm not trying to make money. I'm trying to make a difference. And that's possibly where we need to make a distinction. Some people are just in it for making money, and they give themselves and all sorts of people, a salary, which is nice, I guess. But I'm out to prove that you don't need a lot of money to run and win an election. And I'm trying to spend as little as possible and get as little donations as possible. I'm not really looking for donations. I mean, you can if you want, but I'm not waiting for money to show up. So my liberty is to run for office and to eventually become president. I'm a U.S. citizen. Like I said, I'm natural born, and I am I am over 35, and I've lived more than 14 years in the United States. So I fulfill all the requirements that are in the U.S. Constitution. So, yeah, so the states can make all the rules they want, but I'm eligible. The trick is there are a couple of states that don't apparently have write-in spaces. I'll go over which states. I might have that. Yeah, I'll try to put that in right now into this. So yeah, so that is my right to be a candidate and for you to vote for me. That's what we're working on. Then your liberty that they cannot stop is to be able to vote for who you want to vote for. So that is your liberty too. Yeah. Yeah. So your liberty is to vote for whichever candidates you want to vote for, whether they're official or not. Again, the states cannot restrict you from your right, and your right is to vote and have it counted, and it's your right to vote for who you want to be in office. So you can write anyone's name in, actually, and maybe there's somebody else you would like to see be president other than me. You can write their name in too. So you don't have to vote for me. You can vote for really anyone you want. But, and that's your liberty to vote for anyone. And it needs to be counted. Now, they say that they don't count it. But you can fight that. You can also call up after the election and say, hey, I voted for Muhammad Ali in this town and whatever for president, and I want to know if you got my vote, if he got my vote or whoever. And then you can say, then they have to say, yes, we got that vote, but we didn't take it seriously, so we threw it out. Well, that's actually illegal. They cannot do that. So every vote is a vote, and they have to count it. They have to make a record of it. Otherwise, it's fraud and manipulation. So, your liberty is to vote for who you want to be in whatever position you're voting for. That goes for president, that goes for senator, that goes for House, that goes for school board people, that goes for mayor, that goes for governor, all of it. Okay, so the states that say they do not allow write-in president except for when someone is off the ballot. So Alaska is supposedly one of these states that does not allow write-in candidate names for president. Well, I'm going to have to fight Alaska on that. Arkansas is another one who says they do not allow write-in candidates for president or perhaps for anything. Hawaii is another one who says that they do not allow write-in candidates for any office. Louisiana is another one. Mississippi, they say they only allow for substitutes. I'm going to have to look into that. But they generally don't allow write-in candidates currently at this moment. But I need to call these states, and I need to see a sample ballot to see if they've provided any space for a write-in or not at all. Then Nevada says there are no write-in allowed. New Mexico is another one who says no write-in allowed. And Oklahoma is another one who says no write-ins are allowed. South Carolina says write-ins not allowed for president. So for other things, yes, but not for president. And South Dakota says write-ins not allowed. So these are the states. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, there are 10. I thought there were only 8. Okay, so those are like 10 states where it might be difficult to write my name in. Let me get those ballots, and on Sunday or maybe earlier, I'll give another live update about what to do about that. So I'm going to try to fight it because, again, the states are not allowed to make laws and enforce laws that restrict our citizens from their rights. I'm a citizen of the United States, and my right is to run for president. So they actually have no right to block me from that possibility. So anyway, I need to look into that. But I think, I'm hoping we'll hear something from the Supreme Court, and then we'll have a whole new voting system and a whole new way of doing all of this. But for right now, that's where we are. So there are 10 out of the 50 states who don't allow write-in candidates. All the other states allow it. So you can write my name in, and you can write in the name of a vice president. And so you have your so the vice president is the real election this year, in my opinion, because as you know, the Democrats and Republicans, they're not bringing any real change. So to vote for them is a vote for gridlock. It's a vote to stay the same BS we've been hearing for the last 58 years that I've been alive. So if you don't want any change, then vote for one of them. But if you want change, then write my name in. Don't forget to circle. Don't forget to do the little dot in the corner. Remember? Like that. Write my name in. And then pick from the vice presidents above. Or if you have somebody else in mind for me, then put that person's name there. And then we'll take it from there, folks, So, yeah, just read your Constitution. Yesterday was Constitution Day. Yesterday was I don't know how many years. We're coming up on what? I guess it's 34. In 34, our Constitution will be... No, not 34. In 37, our Constitution will be 250 years old. So for right now, it's not that old. Yeah, we're not at 7, so it's 230 something years old. They started actually the country with a different constitutional document, and then it wasn't working out. They were having difficulty with the common defense, I believe, was the big issue. So they had to, and some other issues, so they had to rewrite some things and create this federal government that we now have, which is good because our federal government protects all of us, all the citizens, in many different ways. And the states have gone amok. They've made frivolous rules restricting our rights, and this is not acceptable. So, they can't ban things, and they can't restrict citizens from doing certain activities, especially if they're religious related. Freedom of expression is allowed, period. So the 14th Amendment, I guess maybe I should read it just to, it's my favorite amendment right now. It's so powerful. And the words, the part that I like the most is the first section, and it's not even like, it's also this part of it is also in the Constitution itself. So it's sort of reiterating because the states keep not following it, and people, U.S. citizens, are not realizing that their rights are being trampled on. So anyway, it was put into an amendment just to doubly bring attention to it. So anyway, here it goes. The first section of the 14th Amendment. This amendment was ratified in 1868, to let you know when it happened. But like I said, this first section is actually in our also Constitution. It's just the states they don't know their Constitution, and actually they don't care. They don't care about you. So that's what the federal government does do. The federal government cares about you, the citizens. And so I'm here running for president to defend you and your rights, and also me and my rights. So the first section says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Semicolon. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law. So I'm going to stop there for a second and say, what law did I break that they are depriving me of my liberty? This is how it works. They're depriving me of my liberty to run for president, to be a write-in candidate in every state, and to eventually be president if I fulfill all the requirements. They have no right to deprive me of that because I'm not a criminal. So I don't know why they're restricting me of my right. Then the other part of that is, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law. So why are they restricting your right to vote and have it counted? What did you do wrong that you can't have your vote counted? Because you're not registered? Because you didn't register to vote? That's not acceptable. What process of the law was that? that they restrict your right to exercise your right if it's the election period of time up until, if you go in on November 6th and you try to vote, that might cause a problem. But if you go on November 5th and you try to vote, they need to see your documents to prove that you are a citizen and that you live where you live. But outside of that, they can't prevent you from voting, and they can't prevent your vote from being counted. It's your right as a citizen. It's your liberty. So, and it's your liberty to choose from the presidential candidates, people who say they want to be for president. Technically, you could vote for anybody. You can, like I said, you could vote for, Muhammad Ali if you wanted. He's not really living, so let's pick somebody who's living. I don't know. You could vote for Madonna. She's living. You could vote for her to be president. And then, if she gets enough votes, she has the right to be president. I believe she's over 35. I believe she's a natural-born U.S. citizen, and I'm pretty sure she's lived in the U.S. for over 14 years. So she would be eligible too. Yeah. I think this is where we are, folks. Our liberty is to vote and have it counted, whoever we vote for. We just have to make sure that they're eligible according to our Constitution, because we are U.S. citizens and we're trying to, be law-abiding U.S. citizens. So that's how it goes. Then it says, so let me go back to that. So let me go up to the best part. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges. So they cannot abridge your privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So, there we go. That's the whole first section of the 14th Amendment. It's the second time they've mentioned it, so, when they were doing that back in those days, I guess, they ignored the Constitution, which is not surprising. It seems to be a normal behavior right now. So it's time to get the states in line, because they have been abusing their privileges and abusing your liberties long enough. So as Commander-in-Chief, that's what you do. When you're president, you defend and protect, preserve, protect, and defend the U.S. Constitution, but also the U.S. citizens against domestic and foreign enemies. So, the only people who have ever been in charge of our states or our government have been Democrats and Republicans for the last 150 years. So, power can corrupt. It doesn't always have to, but it seems that it's really corrupted now. We're hearing more and more about the fake names on the lists. Another 1 million in New Mexico, 1 million in Texas, 380,000 in West Virginia. Ohio says 600, but I'm going to say they're lying. It's higher than that. Several other states have come out and said they have some too. We haven't heard yet from California or New York, but I can only imagine the number is just enormous there. Florida too has not come forward. So anyway, we got problems, folks. We got cheaters out there running our country. We need to get them out. So don't re-vote for anybody in office right now, actually. And we need to start with a clean slate. People with integrity. So do your homework. This is the most important election in the last 150 years, if not since the beginning of our country. And I'm not kidding. If you want your rights back, I think you should really vote for me. But maybe there's another candidate that's even more, that has more integrity. I don't know. You can have a look around and see. But I'm fighting for you already. As you know, I have a lawsuit pending with the Supreme Court to change this illegal system we're using called registering to vote and to start bringing real liberty back to you and me. Okay, so that's all I can say about that. I got into politics because of peace, actually, world peace. So I need to say something about that too. It's time for a ceasefire. I'm tired of these wars. If we can imagine living with war around us and hate, we can imagine living with peace and love around us. It's time to sit down to the negotiating tables. We know that wars end in negotiation anyway, so put down your weapons. I call for a ceasefire, and let's sit down to the negotiating table now. Now. Not tomorrow, but now, today, now. Stop all wars. We don't have to live this way. There is enough for everybody. There's no need for war. We all have a right to be here. We can all co-inhabit the earth. You are not better than me. There is no chosen people. Sorry. We are all chosen. We are all the chosen. You don't get to choose. We all get to be here. So stop it. And that's my final comment for today. Find out more about me and spelling or whatever at my website. So Susan4USA.com. That's Susan, the number 4, USA.com. You can see the question I posed to the Supreme Court, and you can find out about my new concept for voting. I've seen it work successfully in Europe, especially in Switzerland, where I used to vote there for 15 years, and it works with very little corruption. So please have a look, and it's time to move forward, folks. We've heard enough now. We know the corruption's there. It's time to vote on that Supreme Court, and let's move forward. Okay. So thank you all for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this informative town hall. And don't forget to get out and vote, but also don't forget to unregister first and then after. Okay. Stay safe. Thanks for stopping by. Bye for now.